Today we're going to be exploring how AI is moving. It's not just going to be in the cloud, it's going to be in all sorts of devices, as you heard about a little earlier. Some of you are here with OpenAI's Chris Lahane promising their device. We should get a look at it this year. And how do we govern all that? We'd also like to thank Qualcomm for making today's conversations possible. And with that, let's welcome Qualcomm CEO Cristiano Amon. So as we heard a little earlier from Chris Lahane, OpenAI is going to be releasing a device, or at least showing it this year. I think we're going to see a lot of AI devices, both in devices we're familiar with, like the phone and the PC, as well as in new things, some of them small, some of them big. You've been obviously a huge, strong advocate of this coming for a while. What's realistic in 2026 versus what's still aspirational? What are we going to see this year?
Okay, so first of all, happy to have this conversation, and it's so good of all of you to showing up. So thank you. Look, I think what's realistic in 2026, and you started to see that happening, and we see that at already the beginning of the year. We saw that at CES. You're going to see a lot of personal AI devices, and I want to go back to the genesis of all of this. One of the interesting things that is happening, of course, we have been always big believers on the edge, but what's happening as AI mature, as those agents, they get specialized and they kind of understand what we say, what we write, what we see, it creates a new opportunity for you to build different devices that people are going to wear, they're going to carry them, they're going to interact with it. You're going to see a lot of different form factors. I think, the ones that are from OpenAI, that are going to Google, from Meta, and is it better? And you're going to see a lot of new devices, but it's all about connecting you with the agent. And I think that's going to start to get scale. Just to put in perspective, glasses, it's already in excess of 10 million units category. I think you're going to very quickly see when you add all of those devices, they can get to about 100 million devices. And I don't think it's too, I don't think, maybe between 26 and 27, you're going to see kind of this run rate. And if you think about phones is about 1.2 billion phones get sold every year. If all of us will want to have the wearable with access to an agent, that's kind of the order of magnitude. And that's just in consumer. There's a whole other thing happening with devices on the edge, on the enterprise and industrial.
Sorry, I think we'll get a mic back in a second, but for now we can share. What types of features are we going to see? I mean, what is going to make you say, yeah, AI on the edge is real? What is my phone going to be able to do? What is my computer? Because right now, people are doing a lot of AI on those PCs, but they're mostly talking to something on the cloud. And obviously, doing it on the device has battery life benefits, it has latency benefits, it has privacy benefits. But so far, we haven't seen a lot of actual things move. What types of things do you think we'll see this year?
Look, that's a great question. I'm going to answer this question, by basically saying, what are the criteria? What's going to drive the compute to go to the edge? First of all, everything that you need an immediate response is going to go to the edge. Otherwise, it's not useful. It's not useful. If you're now all of a sudden connected to an agent and you ask the agent something to do something for you, I'll give an example. You see a QR code and you say, pay this, pay this bill. You wanted to just do that, and you expected that there's going to be an action. If you want to say, who's this person? Translate this for me. Everything that you need an instant response is going to go to the compute that is going to give you the lower latency. And then you're going to have the issue about, do you consent your data to go? If you want things to be, especially your context, stay off the device, you're going to need the compute to be done at the edge. What you're going to start to see today is, first of all, a lot of the companies, they're doing things on the cloud. Everything that is like, for example, voice to text is all moving to the edge. And then anything that is simple, or you can do that repeatedly and you expect a response. Like a simple thing you're going to see in PCs, document summarization. This is you get a document, there's like several pages, and you say, summarize this. There's no reason you cannot do this using the compute on the device. But there are countless examples. I will say from a very high level, the history of compute, and it never failed. The software will find its most efficient compute. And as you start to have very powerful engines that is going to be available on phones, on PCs, and that those things start to get scale, that compute's going to get utilized. I never seen a situation where people said, we're not going to use it. The second part is going to be as AI becomes more specialized, mix of experts as an example, chain of thought reasoning, you have like some quick response versus a more complex reasoning. Those things are going to go into hybrid. And I think we're going to see that happening even in 2026.
And let's talk about the PC for a sec, because obviously it's an area of growth for you guys. I think, it was something you were taking an aim at for years. You finally hit the target. You are a significant player. But we've heard about AI PCs a lot. There was a lot of talk in 2025 about AI PCs. And really, again, most of the work was being done in the cloud. Why hasn't it happened already? Is it just compute power? Is it software development? What's been holding it up?
Well, for Qualcomm, it's not compute power. Maybe from some other people, but not for Qualcomm.
Touche.
But I've look. We actually, I know this became a broad term, unfortunately, but I think when we start talking about AI PC, it was about the Copilot Plus, and there have been delays. I think software has not been ready, but I want to talk about this a little bit different. Because there's actually a lot of things happening on AI PCs. We see a lot of development going on right now, and I think it's going to come to the hand of consumers and enterprises. But I'm going to break that down. From a consumer standpoint, there are going to be things that are going to be applications are going to be adopting the AI engine. The easiest example for me to give it to you is gaming. Think about an RPG game. You're going to actually have the part of the gameplay. You're going to have a chat with the different characters on the game. That's going to be enabled by AI engines. There's a bunch of other things that's going to happen on the game. And a lot of the applications are kind of putting an AI front end. We're going to see that in phones. We're going to see that on a PC. The second thing is agents are going to become popular. It just started. If you look at Microsoft, just launched agents for Windows. Those things are going to get better. It's going to be unique to a bunch of different applications. And then the other part of it is actually what's happening on the enterprise. On the enterprise, there is now a conversation that is changing about as AI becomes pervasive. I just gave an example of document summarization. We're seeing a lot of ISVs and SaaS is now breaking things down and say, this particular application I want to run as part of my application that stays in the client. And I'm going to use the AI, computing of the machine to do it. The other stuff's going to go to the cloud. Many reasons for that. From economics, you run those big models, you're paying for that compute, and things that you do repetitive, you can do that on the device. The other reason is privacy. The other thing is latency and access to data. So I think we're about to start seeing the inflection point. I think AI PC was probably advertised before its time. I'll speak from what our PCs that are selling today. They sell because it's an attractive form factor, multi-day battery life, and high performance. But eventually, it's going to be because the AI performance, that's where we're going to shine.
And there's a lot of devices, as you mentioned. I think in CES just recently, you announced another device that we don't think of as much as a device, but robots. Why is robots the next step in what's been a multi-year diversification effort for y'all?
I'm going to answer this question by telling what happened in automotive. Interesting, when we started our journey and I'll tell you how it actually started. It started when we start thinking about it, why people are driving their cars and they buy this phone holder and they put their phone in the dashboard. That means that, some of the capabilities exist in phones that should be going into the car. And then the thing evolved, and the car became a computing surface. And you've seen our journey into automotive. A lot of skepticism in the beginning. A lot of people thought they would not be able to do that. But I think Qualcomm has proven that we were very successful in the automotive, and Snapdragon Digital Chassis became the platform. And I'm going to walk you to this journey to say, because there's a parallel with robotics. Very difficult to displace some of the most valuable companies in the world out of anything, but we kind of succeeded in automotive. And the reason is very simple. You cannot put a server in a trunk of a car. It consumes too much power. You need, a lot of cooling. So you needed a computing that is very efficient. It comes from like a different DNA.
Like maybe a cell phone, for example.
And you need a lot of computing, but you need it to be very efficient. And you also need different types of computing. You have to integrate different types of sensors. You have to have, computer that go into power different screens, etc. So now you take this problem to a robot. If you want your robot to go from 2-hour battery life to 6 or 8, it's one thing. If you want to say, I got a robot that costs $20,000, how do I make that robot $5,000? How do I integrate all the cameras, all the sensor, all the connectivity? So I think the same exact playbook that made us successful in automotive, I think that's even more true when you think about robotics. The other part of the answer is physical AI is massive. And I think there's this incredible opportunity for robots doing different tasks. And the training issue is very well defined because you just need to train the robot on a particular task. It's going to be like watching that movie, Matrix. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to teach a robot to play Kung Fu tomorrow. I'm going to teach him to restock the shelf of a supermarket. Then I'm going to teach the robot to do welding. And
then it's going to take over. That's usually how those movies end.
But I think that's a finite problem, and I think there's real commercial value.
So I want to go back to these other devices. You mentioned glasses already are, inching towards mainstream, pretty big. Meta certainly had success with Ray-Ban. I know Google's doing it this year. What types of devices are you going to be in this year that you weren't in before?
It's interesting. People experiment into a lot of different form factors. So we have, I'm going to try to say this without sounding pretentious, but I think this is why it's right into the Qualcomm, I think, strength. We have pretty much the majority of the designs, I think, the people are doing, and people are experimenting with different form factors. Of course, glasses, and I'm a big believer glasses is going to be the one that probably have the largest scale. But we're seeing now earbuds. We developed this technology, which is very unique. I think nobody has this technology. It's called micropower Wi-Fi. It's basically Wi-Fi at the Bluetooth power profile. What it means is you can get an IP address to an earbud, and you can hand off from your phone into the Wi-Fi network. So people are experienced with earbuds with cameras, just to design it to see what in front of you, so to give you context. We're seeing jewelry, we're seeing pendants, we're seeing things that go in your desk. We see different things that you carry with you in your suitcase. We're seeing some designs that I find it very interesting, which is it can become a pendant, it can become your watch when you put on your wrist. You can put it at the back of your phone, and we'll see what happens.
Are you going to be in that device that OpenAI was talking about that they're going to show later this year?
I will say we've been working with them, so we're excited about what we're doing with them, but they will talk about their device.
Fair enough. Well, I've been asking a lot of people today, one of the topics is AI generally, but, this bubble question. And when there's talk of an AI bubble, it doesn't really mean AI is not big. What it means is the timing of investment relatively correct? Is the amount of money we're spending, are we going to get a return on it? Do you think there's a bubble anywhere in the AI ecosystem, and if so, where?
Look, it's very difficult to answer this question, and I provide the same answer I've been given, I think, on this topic, which means the internet today is way bigger than people thought it would be in 2000. It's way bigger. Did it happen all in 2000? No, it didn't. It took time, and I feel that the AI is probably bigger than people think it is. It's in the long run, it's probably underhyped. Will it all happen right now? I don't know. I don't know, but I think I go back to your question. You started this conversation saying AI PC, was it already? You had pieces that need to come together, and maybe we're starting to approach the inflection point, but those things take a little bit of time. What I actually like about this conversation about AI bubble and whether people are making a lot of investment is it's actually creating an opportunity for competition to appear. And that's one of the reasons I think we enter the data center space. I think we believe that you're going to need further disaggregation. When you look at the curves that you see for AI projection right now, I think there's a lot of those in the internet right now. You see, this is the projection of the data center build out. This is the energy projection, and they are not. They're not meeting.
Yeah.
So that's good. That means that people are going to looking for more power efficient solutions. They're going to look for further disaggregation of the data center, and I think that creates opportunity for new entrants like Qualcomm. We're excited about that.
Last question before I let you go. Another thing that I think will be discussed this week is a little bit of turbulence in geopolitics.
Really?
I know. Sorry to let you know, but yeah. And I'm curious, as governments pay more attention to supply chains and AI sovereignty, is that something that Qualcomm benefits from, or does that complicate how and where you grow? You've certainly had a long business in China. Obviously, there's, some rivalry between China and the U.S., but also the U.S. seems a little bit perhaps less stable as a country.
Look, you have a lot. You have a lot of those conversations. I think it is fair to say that in the technology sector, the supply chain is very complex, and there's a lot of integration of that supply chain at different stages. It is global, and as we navigate to this is not new. We've been navigating, I think, to this. One of the things that you have to do, especially as a semiconductor company, you have to have flexibility. We do benefit by having scale. We ship about 40 billion components every year. That's not a small number. And I think allow us to serve different industries with supply chain that come from different places. I think that will continue to be the reality. And as far as technology standpoint, I think as long as you have, and that's kind of what we do, if you have an innovation roadmap and you have technology that is new, unique, you're going to have a lot of business everywhere. And I think, it's interesting as Qualcomm diversifies and they go into different industry, you go to automotive, go to robotics, as you expect, we have a lot of partners in China because, those industries are also evolving over there, and I think that will continue to be the case.
Well, I would love to keep chatting, but I hope we get to do this again next year, and you'll be wearing. Where will that OpenAI device be? Will it be on your lapel or in your ear? Anyway, please give a hand, Cristiano Amon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.